through the Zoom chat. All votes taken in this meeting will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law. If Zoom crashes, the meeting will be continued to May 28, 2024. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance of all DRB members participating in the meeting. Nate Andrews, I don't believe is present.
No, he's not coming.
He's not coming, okay? I know he was a maybe, sorry. Paul Christensen. Present. Lisa Braden-Harder. Present. Scott Riley. Here. Dave Turner. Here. John Hemmelgarn.
Present.
I don't think we can hear.
I'm letting him weigh in.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, John, we see you, so we know you're present. And
Yeah.
the chair is present. So we have 6 in attendance, and so we do have a quorum. Okay, tonight's meeting, we have several items on the agenda. First, a public forum, then other business, and agenda item number 3 is the public hearing. Under the category of public hearing, we have 2 items on the agenda, DP 24-14. That's the Chittenden Solid Waste District, continuation from the previous meeting being April 23rd. And the second agenda item under the public hearing section is DP 23-15, which is Lakeside Properties LLC, discretionary permit request to develop 6,000 square foot 2-tenant warehouse on Shunpike. So the first item of order of business is the public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone present here in the town meeting room or participating by Zoom to address the board on issues that are not warned on the public agenda. Anyone here to address the board on items not warned? If you're participating by Zoom and you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand, your virtual hand.
We have no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, great. So under other business, is that where we do the elections or do we wait?
It is under other business. You can wait until after we do the public hearing, or you can do it before.
Why don't we just do it now? Okay. So tonight we're going to elect officers for the DRB, for the chair and the vice chair. First, I would open up the floor for a nomination for the chair. Paul.
Nominate you.
You who?
You who, correct. It's a good soda. Anyhow, no, I nominate Pete.
And would you, can I encourage you to have a time frame on this, please?
Oh. The standard change of venue on 1 July.
On 1 July, thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, Scott seconds it. Any discussion? I accept that nomination. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, next up is the vice chair. Is there a motion to nominate an individual to be vice chair of the DRB?
I make a motion that we nominate Scott Riley to be vice chair of the DRB.
Second.
Is there a time frame associated with that?
July 1, 2024.
Okay, thank you, David. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Mr. Riley, do you accept that?
I accept it.
Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 John, are you, Hemmelgarn, are you and I? Put your thumb.
Aye. Yes. Aye.
Okay.
Yes.
Aye, that's an aye.
Can you hear me?
Opposed? Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you.
Is there any other business, Andrew or Matt, that we need to bring forth before we go into the public public hearing.
Think we can take care of the board training during deliberations?
We'll do that after.
You want to do that
After we come out of deliberations.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so there will be board training that takes place under the other business category, and that will be after the board comes out of a deliberative session, but still in an open forum. Okay, so first up, under the public hearing section is DP 24-14, Chittenden Solid Waste. Gentlemen, if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
I am Greg Dixon from Krebs and Lansing Consulting Engineers.
And I'm Josh Estee from the Chittenden Solid Waste District.
Thank you. Staff goes next.
Before I start, it seems that we're having a problem hearing those online. Is that?
Okay. So we don't go.
I can try, yeah. Let's see.
I think we can hear it all. We can hear well. No issues here in my end.
Can someone online say something?
I can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Andrew, before you begin,
Yes.
I would just like to state for the record that I was not present for the previous hearing. I did watch the recording from start to finish on this application, so I'm eligible.
I don't know, can anybody hear me?
I hear you, John. This is
Yes,
John.
but I'm not sure they can hear me in the room.
Me neither. Right now, it looks like they may have gone.
So were they hearing you as well?
I don't know.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yes.
Excellent. Pete, would
Pete,
you?
would you just repeat that?
Yes, I will. So what I was saying is, I was not present for the first hearing. However, I did watch the recorded video and audio of the hearing, and so I'm eligible for voting on this tonight. Okay. With that, Andrew, go ahead.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Pete.
This
This is a discretionary permit review for the proposed CSWD material recovery facility, or MRF. Staff recommendation tonight is for approval with conditions as drafted. As Pete mentioned, the hearing was continued from April 23rd. If it is okay with the DRB, I'll just highlight the topics that we left for discussion, and anything else that's changed. Any questions, just let me know.
Sounds like a good plan, Andrew. Thank you.
Great. So first, we did receive the Public Works memo dated April 19th. It is included as part of this report. No public comments were received at the time of mail out.
Skip past the, or actually, I'll mention, we discussed the
building height in the last hearing, which falls under the industrial zoning district east regulations. The building height is 36 feet maximum. That's measured using average finished grade. Staff confirms that the proposed height is below the 36-foot requirement. So that complies as proposed. For access, chapter 13, the applicant has submitted an updated traffic analysis for the project. The analysis concluded that the proposed development will have 13 vehicle trip ends during AM peak and 0 during the PM peak. We will discuss this if it ends up being a moot point. But just that is included in your packets, along with a detailed description from their current traffic levels at the current CSW facility off Industrial Lab. For off-street parking and loading, there was no change here, but I do want to mention that the applicant has added landscaping, which I will also discuss later. The number of parking spots has not changed, so the rest of this section stayed the same. Compliance is anticipated for this for DRB approval. On-site infrastructure. The only change here is that the condition number has changed. The state wastewater permit is required in final plans. Moving to maintenance and also compatibility, potential hazards and nuisances. These both touch upon screening and landscaping requirements for different types of development. I'm going to talk about these in the landscaping chapter just also. So that takes us right into landscaping for chapter 23. Staff recommendation is that it complies as proposed. The applicant has submitted an updated plan that addresses the landscaping requirements discussed on April 23rd. We'll go into the detail here. The landscaping plan, the applicant has proposed a site plan that meets the requirements for species variety. For landscape screening, the applicant has provided a landscape screen for the laydown and storage area along the access road that was discussed at pre-application. We also discussed the outdoor storage, including a solid waste compactor and a building transformer on the northwest corner of the building. WDB 23.4 requires that these items are fully screened. Applicant has proposed to grow arborvitae to be seen on the right, that will screen these items from Redmond Rd. And then for the landscaping and parking lots, this also complies as proposed. The bylaw requires that spaces or parking lots with more than 24 spaces in a row are broken up by landscape islands. The applicant has provided those islands and has also provided shade trees as required by the bylaw. For watershed health, the demarcation of wetlands and watershed protection buffers was discussed on April 23rd. The applicant has proposed signage to demarcate those buffers. That signage is on the site plans. Both condition 2A, 2 and 3 discuss this, and they're drafted to require that signage. And staff recommendation here is that that complies as proposed. Lastly, impact fees. CSWD is exempt from transportation impact fees. And this is a section of chapter 45 that staff missed. That's all. What follows are a list of findings, conclusions, and conditions of approval. I will just go right into the master sign plan if that's okay. Or yeah. Okay, please. So the signs were also discussed at the April 23rd meeting. So for master sign plan, staff is recommending approval, which is drafted. Prior comments do mention signage. Building and mailbox numbering are required by town ordinance. All the other signage that they are requesting is too small to be included on master sign plan, and so it's not included as part of this report. There were no public comments for this either. The applicant is proposing a master sign plan because they are proposing a wall sign that is larger than the 24 square foot maximum, I believe, wall signs. The signs they're proposing are freestanding sign and wall signs, with no illumination proposed. For the frontage calculation, the area of the Redmond Road facing facade was used. As you can see, they're well under the maximum potential sign area for the site. The total proposed area of their signage is 159 square feet. The applicant is proposing public art on the corner of the building. It's on the southwest corner. Staff considers this recycling symbol a universal symbol that is public art. What follows are special findings, conclusions of law, and conditions of approval with the proposed signage for the site. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. So in your opinion, were there any items that were addressed in the late April meeting that were raised in the late April meeting that were not addressed in this revised application?
No.
Okay. Applicant, have you read the proposed conditions of approval, and do you have any comments or concerns?
I don't believe so. We've seen the most recent one, but it's consistent with what me and Andrew have talked about. So,
okay. DRB members, questions?
The only question I have is, I know you have the bicycle storage on there, but where is it on the print? I didn't notice.
the outside bike.
Yeah.
So if you go to the kind of more zoomed in plan, you can see it. So C102. Actually, probably the most clear one is C106. C104. So zoomed in, like kind of view of the parking lot. It's almost right off the corner. Yeah, and getting going over there. It'll be right off that doorway. There's two, it'll be those semi-U. I know they don't look much because they're kind of being blended in with the water line connection, but it's pretty cute.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
So there'll be two semi-U shapes right here and here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? Scott?
No.
John Hemmelgarn, any questions? No? Okay. Members of the public participating by Zoom, any questions?
We have no.
Okay.
Any final thoughts, comments?
No, just thank you for your time and listening to the project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna close DP 24-14 at 7:19. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is DP 23-15, Lakeside Properties LLC. Who is present for the applicant? If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Mark LeClaire. Darlene LeClaire.
And your address, please?
The address?
Yes?
2041 Williston Road, South Burlington. Or it could be 20 Oak Creek Drive, South Burlington. I honestly can't remember which one.
Thank you. And
Rose from Civil Engineering Associates. I'm their civil engineer. We're located at 10 Mansfield View Lane in South Burlington.
Great.
Great, thank you, John.
Okay.
Okay, staff goes next.
Thank you, Pete. This is a discretionary permit review of a proposed 6,000 square foot, 2-tenant industrial warehouse building at 358 Shunpike Road in the Industrial Zoning District West. The lot was previously occupied by a residential dwelling that was legal non-conforming. That dwelling was demolished in 2023. Staff is recommending approval with conditions as drafted. Please note that the master sign plan is combined into this report. The DRB and applicant should discuss outdoor sales and storage. Project history for this project. DRB reviewed the pre-application for this project back in May of 2023, and the applicant did file a administrative permit in February of 2023 to demolish the existing structures on site. Both the Public Works and Fire memos are included in this report. Please note that the comments from the Fire Department can only be enforced to the extent that they fall under the bylaw. No public comments were received at the time of mail out on May 9th. Looking at the pre-application recommendations, call out the specific ones where we'll talk about conditions. A landscape plan in compliance with WD 23 is required, and the fence needs to be opaque. We will discuss that. Street trees need to be in compliance with WDB 26. A completed runoff and erosion control checklist that complies. For outdoor lighting, the lighting plan needs to note dimming, timers, and or motion sensors to ensure compliance with WDB 24. And lastly, master sign plan in compliance with WDB 25 is required. So, looking at the regulations in Chapter 36 for the zoning district, the proposed use can comply. At pre-application, a contractor use was identified. An office use is only permitted as accessory to that warehouse use. The building height complies as proposed. It's under the 36-foot maximum. No outdoor storage or sales are proposed, but it is not uncommon for light industrial uses, such as contractors or warehouses, to need outdoor storage. The DRB should discuss this with the applicant. And condition 2A allows the area to the rear of the building to be designated for storage. Once again, the DRB can discuss that with the applicant. I will note that outdoor storage cannot be within setbacks or landscape buffers, including the 35-foot front yard setback. Oh, additionally, I should mention that the storage cannot be in the front yard at all. It can only be in the side or rear yard. Access and connectivity and traffic studies complies as proposed, both access management and bicycle and pedestrian access. For off-street parking and loading, vehicle parking complies as proposed. The applicant proposes 11 parking spaces and 1 ADA space. For bike parking, this also complies. Short-term bike racks are provided at the front entrance. The tenant space has an office with long-term bike storage, including an end-of-trip facility. For on-site infrastructure, compliance is anticipated. The Public Works comment memo must be addressed prior to final plans. This has to do with the applicant's proposed municipal water and sewer connections. Additionally, the circulation, including sidewalks and recreation paths, complies as proposed. For maintenance, compliance is anticipated. The site plan includes solid waste containers, which are screened on a concrete pad, and snow storage areas. For landscaping, compliance is anticipated. On the east side of the property, there is a 23-foot buffer, which has been reduced by 25% to the width of 17.25 feet. Final plans must include a planting schedule that meets the Type 2 description. The west and the south, existing cedars straddle the property line and will remain. Final plans must include detail to show that this existing vegetation will be protected. For street trees, compliance, it complies as proposed. 2 white oak trees are proposed, and there's an existing spruce tree. Final plans must also specify that this tree will be protected during construction and identify the clear vision triangles. For watershed health, a runoff and erosion control plan has been provided, which complies as proposed. Signs and public art, compliance is anticipated. Final plans must show lighting specifications for signage, if any is, if the applicant wants any. Signage calculation must also be included for the master sign plan, showing that compliance with the 8% rule. The maximum signage area permitted is 120 square feet. The applicant proposes 48 square feet of signage. This should be fine. For impact fees, transportation impact fees are assessed with the administrative permit based on the ITE trip generation manual. This project will generate 4 p.m. peak hour trips. For outdoor lighting, compliance is anticipated. As noted previously, final plans must include light timing and total lumen output per acre. What follows are a list of findings, conclusions, and conditions of approval. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Okay, to the applicant. Have you read the proposed conditions of approval, and do you have any comments?
We have read them and do not have any comments.
Okay. Do you have any supplemental information to augment Andrew's report?
We do not.
Okay. DRB members, questions?
Yes. On the south elevation, which is facing Shunpike Road, I'm assuming, I'm looking at the print anyways, is there going to be any windows there, or is there a doorway where the sidewalk comes up to the building?
That's the north elevation.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't believe the architectural plans do not show any windows at this point. No.
Right.
And you have
No.
a walk going up to the side of the building? For the bike rack?
There is a bike rack on the north side of the building. Correct.
Yeah,
Looks like 4.
spaces.
And no windows, you said, facing Shunpike Road?
None are proposed on the architectural plans. No.
Okay.
And then, unless Mark and Darlene have a comment, none are proposed.
No windows.
it for me.
Okay. Paul?
No, I'm good, because all this is basically a warehouse, right?
Yep.
That's. So it's like, it's not gonna have any, it's not like gonna be a retail kind of thing, so I can understand why there's no windows.
Yeah. Lisa, questions?
No, nothing for me.
Scott?
Couple, I guess. First of all, I applaud you for redeveloping the site. You know, it's the right place for this type of building, and it fits in. It fits in nicely. 2 points. One came up during the discussion by Andrew, and that is outside storage. I heard there some from Andrew that you could store on the south side. Is that what you said, Andrew?
Yes, that is the.
That's permitted.
It's
Yes.
permitted. There's no space to do that.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. So,
So-
why don't we ask the applicant what the intent is?
Is there an intent?
Yeah.
At this
No.
point, there's no intent to have any storage exterior of the building.
Other than snow.
How you get snow there?
What?
I don't know how you're going to get snow there either.
Yeah.
Plow jockeys can get it anywhere.
Okay. Well,
Well,
I'm thinking on the south side of the building, not the south side of the parking lot.
The south side of the building, into the east of the proposed trash enclosure area is showing snow storage. And I don't know how you could get that amount of snow through that tiny opening, personally.
The opening's about 10 feet wide at the moment. Yeah, I'm not saying it wouldn't be difficult for sure.
Right. So let's go back to the outside storage. I understand that no outside storage is being contemplated. I guess that doesn't mean that it couldn't be used at some point. But Matt, would it be, or Andrew, would it need to be fenced or enclosed?
There are screening requirements for outdoor storage.
I'm just trying to understand, to make sure that, I guess I'm not trying to make sure of anything. It's not proposed, but when I look at the site, it is allowed, but it would be very difficult to actually store something there. So that's a statement, it's not anything more. That was so, and if anybody on the DRB wants to chime in on that, please do. But the other comment I would make is, there are 2 trees proposed for the front of the building, is that correct?
That is correct.
One to be retained.
Okay, so can you one more time?
There's one existing tree to be retained as well, 18-foot blue spruce tree.
One remaining, one tree existing to remain.
So I see a tree, I see a 12-foot spruce on the northwest corner. Is that the tree that's being retained?
Correct. There's one to be retained and 2 new trees.
And 2 okay. And the 2 new trees are in front of the new building between it and the road?
Correct.
And type of tree, did I hear oak?
Yes, a white oak.
A white oak. Okay. You know, any chance that's a pretty bland, blank, boring building that is fronting the road, and I understand the reasons for it because it's a warehouse, but it doesn't exactly do much to enhance the streetscape. Any chance you'd be willing to put in a hedgerow of arborvitae or something along those lines?
I don't know. Right now we've done our best to comply with the with the zoning regulations as far as the requirements of street trees in the front.
Yep.
If that expands to hedges or something to that effect, or cedars of some kind, yeah, I mean, that's certainly, if the DRB sees those as acceptable street trees, then, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't do something similar. We're essentially doing something similar than what we have as an existing condition on the west side and the south side of the property.
Yeah,
I do see your landscape plan, and I understand that.
like to see it go, you know, I understand you're doing what is required, and then, we want to make sure that, you know, it's as good looking as possible on a square box. So it's something we can talk about as a board.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're just doing our best to comply with the landscape architect, Michael Lawrence, put this plan together to, you know, to meet the requirements. And yeah, I'm sure if you have any particulars, you guys, yeah, welcome to discuss. And I don't think the applicant has any specific preference for necessarily what landscaping is in the front. We just want to make sure we comply with your regulations.
Correct.
Understood. Okay.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it? John Hemmelgarn, comments, questions? No? Okay. Member, doesn't look like there's any members of the public participating at this point, so I will skip seeing if there's comments from the public, seeing that there's none participating. Last call for DRB members to have any questions. No. To the applicant, any final thoughts or words?
We're happy with what we got.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're good.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to close DP 23-15 at 7:37. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at 7:37, the DRB is going to go into deliberative session.
Recording stopped.
Good to go?
Okay, great. It's 7:50. Welcome back to the Williston Development Review Board of May 14th, 2024. The DRB is out of deliberative session. Is there a motion on DP 24-14 Chittenden Solid Waste District?
Yes, as authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, Dave Turner, move the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of the town staff and the advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of April 23rd, 2024 and May 14th, 2024, accept the findings of fact and conclusions of law for DP 2414 and approve this discretionary permit subject to the conditions of approval above. This approval authorizes the applicant to file final plans, obtain approval of these plans from staff, and then seek administrative permit for the proposed development, which must proceed in strict conformance with the plans on which this approval is based.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second? Second. Lisa seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Yay or nay? Paul?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
John Hemmelgarn?
Yay.
The chair is a yay, 6 in favor, none opposed. Dave Turner, is there a motion for the master sign plan?
Yes, as authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, Dave Turner, move the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of town staff and advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of May 14th, 2024, accept the findings of fact, conclusions of law for DP 24-14, and approve this discretionary permit for master sign plan subject to the conditions of approval above. This approval authorizes the applicant to submit final plans, obtain approval for these plans from staff, and then seek administrative sign permits, which must proceed in strict conformance with the plans on which this approval is based.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. Any discussion? Yay or nay? Paul?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
John? Chair is a yay. 6 in favor, none opposed. Motion carries. Is there a motion for DP 23-15?
Yes. I, Scott Riley, so as authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, Scott Riley, move that the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of the town staff and the advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of May 14th, 2024, accept the findings of fact and conclusions of law of DP 23-15 and approve this discretionary permit subject to the conditions of approval above. This approval authorizes the applicant to file final plans, obtain approval of these plans from staff, and then seek an administrative permit for the proposed development, which must proceed in strict conformance with the plans upon which this approval is based. There are a couple of changes that need to be noted under the decision and the motions for findings of fact. We're doing a couple of additions. We are renumbering them, adding number 3. Number 3 will now say no outdoor storage is proposed. After number 3, there is number 4, and it was listed as another 1. So it is now 1, 2, 3, and 4. Under conditions of approval, 2A, we are striking A. So the statement, final plans shall be in conformance with all of the WDB requirements and standards and conditions of approval as required by the DRB. A is struck.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Paul seconds it. Any discussion? Hearing none. Yay or nay? Paul?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
John?
Yay.
The chair is a yay. 6 in favor, none opposed. Motion carries. Meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Dave Turner seconds. Any discussion? Yay or nay on approval of the minutes? Paul?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
John?
Yay.
The chair will recuse myself because I was not in attendance. I did watch the Chittenden Solid Waste District recording, but I did not watch the rest of the meeting. So 5 in favor, none opposed, 1, actually it would be an abstention, and motion carries, so the minutes are approved. Okay, at this point, I'll turn it over to staff under the heading of remaining other business.
Great. So our staff, mostly Emily, who's not here tonight, worked with the chair to revamp our introductory meeting script and make things a little more efficient. So, and does everybody have the updated script in their packet?
I believe so.
Okay, great. So, you know, what
Well,
you're
there was
looking
an update to the update, right?
That is correct.
should be the,
And is that hasn't been distributed?
No, it is not.
okay. So I don't know if you want to show the the red line Emily put up.
Yeah, let me pull that up as well.
The first note, though, I don't need to screen share on, which is, we're not going to read the lengthy Zoom instructions anymore. Most folks have some familiarity now, so there'll just be a short, remind people, you know, what meeting they're at, that they're at the DRB meeting and the date of the meeting, and asking them to silence their phones, asking folks who are on Zoom to stay muted unless it's their turn to speak, and that they can contact the host through chat if they're having any issues. That'll be it. So we won't do the big long, you know, graphical instructions anymore.
Will that be on the slate when they sign into Zoom? Right now it shows the town of Williston emblem, right?
Yeah, it should be.
I'm just thinking if it was on the slate, then you don't even have to say anything or read anything.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is just, that also helps if you're watching the recordings. If you start the recording and you hear the chair say what day it is, you can kind of confirm it. Chair will take a roll call of attendees, just like we do now, and then go over the role of the DRB, in other words, what it is, why it's here, and all of that. So I think, yeah, this is the latest and greatest. It's relatively brief about this, but essentially identifying, following the role of the DRB. You know, the board is made up of volunteers. There are standards the board is held to, both the volunteer policy of the town as well as the conflict of interest ordinance. And there's an opportunity, the chair will provide at that point, for any member to identify any conflicts and recuse themselves from any hearings they need to. So that'll just be right up front. And then reminding folks that if they wish to be an interested party, they need to participate in the hearing. At minimum, that means attending the hearing and speaking. And making sure that reminding people to state their name and mailing address when they speak, which you probably will have to do again when they start speaking, but that's par for the course. And then I think the rest is not being read.
Correct.
At this point, we've just put it in the memo, which is just explaining what are the policies we're dealing with, both in terms of the conflict of interest ordinance and then the ex parte communication policies that are specific to being a quasi-judicial board. So, you know, the idea, someone comes up to you in the grocery store, they want to talk about something happening in Williston that's coming up in front of the DRB, you say, you know, I really can't talk to you about that right now. I'd love to hear from you in the meeting. That's sometimes hard to avoid. So if it does happen and you say, you know, I didn't realize that's what we were talking about, and suddenly I realized I did talk to Joe Smith about this application, you can disclose that you've had that communication. Or you can say, you know, Joe Smith emailed me with these comments, asked me to consider them. I informed him that this is a proceeding in front of the DRB, and I made those comments available to staff, and that way we can include them in the packet, and that cures the ex parte issue. After that, folks know the volunteer policy, but we just have it summarized here. And also the statutory citation, if anybody ever needs it, about becoming an interested party. It'll be a shorter script at the beginning and just an entry for anybody who needs to recuse from anything right up front. And it might also be a time if you think there's a perceived conflict but you don't believe there is one, you can say that, or you can do that at the beginning of the hearing as well. You know, I did a piece of work for the applicant 5 years ago. Wasn't related to what's in front of the board tonight. I don't believe I have a conflict. That's fine as well. There was a ethics for municipal officials bill in the legislature this year. I don't recall if it passed, and obviously hasn't been signed or become law yet, but the one thing that stood out was it was going to require that if somebody didn't recuse from something that they might have a conflict on, and this happens a lot more in small towns where someone says, gosh, we need 4 people for a quorum tonight, and the road salt contract is up, and that's my brother-in-law's company, but we really need to vote tonight. There was a procedure created in that bill to make a written statement of non-recusal. In other words, in the minutes, it would say, Pete Kelly stated that his brother-in-law owns the road salt company, but his vote is needed for the quorum tonight, so he will not be recusing despite that relationship in order to take the necessary vote. So I think that happens very rarely here and very, very rarely at the DRB, but it's something I'll make you aware of if I find out that that law came through that way, and if there's any other provisions that would apply to the DRB. There is another bill that went through about remote meetings, and most advisory boards will be able to conduct fully remote meetings. Quasi-judicial boards like DRB under that proposed law will not. They'll continue to have to provide a physical location. And meetings that are recorded of quasi-judicial bodies, if we have a video, we have to have that video available to people for 30 days after the meeting. So we don't have to keep a huge library of video, but we do have.
So members can still be remote, but there has to be a physical presence someplace for the meeting.
Just like we were operating before. Yep.
Okay.
Just can't do it fully remote.
Question about the DRB opening, effective July 1. Has it been advertised? Has there been any interest? If it has been advertised, can you update the board on that matter?
I don't know that it's been advertised. I'll have to ask Aaron. She usually does a batch of them.
We have a list that's on our website, and it's also around town. I have one on my desk.
So it is. So it is posted.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
We just got an updated one, I think, with everybody, all the different boards.
I haven't been informed of any applicants yet.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So is there any warm bodies that's come before the select board?
People they can deputize into DRB service.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When they see the pay scale, they'll jump on it.
Well, I was just curious because, there are people that are potentially.
I think most folks who know are aware that it's one of the more challenging volunteer jobs in the town.
That's not it. Not with Pete running it.
There you go.
There you go. It can be a little tough to recruit, but usually we've always gotten people in the past, so I'm sure we will.
Okay. Anything else to cover, Matt? Or?
I don't have anything more for you.
Okay. Great. DRB members, is there anything else to bring forth tonight? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Although, any discussion about adjournment?
I want to stay.
I want to recall. I want to.
Got to follow Robert's rules.
I want to change my vote.
Okay. All those in favor to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.